I'm your host, Kinetic, and you're watching GameOnEnd. TSM 3 is no longer supported. It is time to upgrade to TSM 4. Alright, if you're like me and you waited a little bit to do the upgrade, TSM 3 has been working until now, and it is officially broken, will not work, will not post. So we have to do the upgrade. So here's the steps that you should take to have a smooth transition over to TSM 4, and then a little bit of the basic get up and running. So the first thing you want to do is make sure you have the app installed, make sure that you have your backups configured. Over on the backups tab, you click on the settings there, make sure you have backups running, make sure you have all of this going. Then in the game, you want to bring up /TSM. Now, what I would suggest doing is the things that are going to copy over are your custom prices. The things that are not are your sniper string. So if we come over into the options here, most of the relevant settings are going to be copied over when you upgrade to TSM 4, but some of them are not. So what you can do here is run through just the basic settings and using your print screen button, taking some screenshots of your settings. You just never know what things may not properly be, what tick boxes, what kind of settings you have, especially things like if you've turned on sounds for certain things. And then whatever things are important to you, maybe go through, grab some screenshots of those kind of things. Between having the actual backups from the TSM desktop app and then taking some screenshots, you should be good. These kind of things you want to save. So maybe open up a notepad, copy these down, and then make a note what they are. So your default price settings, these kind of things, if you've made any adjustments, they may not carry over. Check all of your default settings here. So on, go through. These kind of things will not transfer over, at least in my experience. So make a note if this is your default pricing source, your normal posting price, these things won't carry over. And then the big one is your sniper string. So if you have a custom sniper string, you definitely want to copy that down because that will not carry over. We'll go ahead and do those real quick. Okay, so I think we are good here. Now we're going to go ahead and completely log out of the game and upgrade to TSM 4. Okay, so we are back in here. Now you want to leave everything enabled at first and then sign into the game, and then you will get a pop-up from Tradeskill Master that lets you know that your version has been upgraded, and they are going to disable all of the extra modules because TSM 4 no longer breaks everything out into the separate modules. Everything is in one add-on. Now there's some pros and cons to that. The pros are that everything is here now, and you aren't missing any of the functionality, whereas before, if you maybe didn't have like warehousing or mailing or something installed, you would not have those features by default. Now everything is here, and that way they can make things interact a little bit better. The downside is that if there are modules that you actually didn't want, there isn't really a way to get out to get out of those being active. And also, if you traded information around like I did with multiple accounts, then you can't really do that anymore. So, but let's take a look here. We've got the destroying window more or less the same now. Same options. The mailing window is updated. They're slowly integrating some of the features from add-ons like Postal and stuff like that to try and make this a little more intuitive and user-friendly, but we have most of the same options here. You can empty your mailbox by the different options or open all. The sending, you can add things in here. If you, I believe, shift-click on names, it will keep them in as the next time you open it, it'll automatically load them in as the recipient. Otherwise, this will clear every time. You have to use this little checkbox here to send money. And if you want to add a description in the mail, whatever. And then you have your group mailing, which of course, you would set up in the main add-on. And then some other things like this, where you can set up some rules to send, excess gold and disenchantable items and things like that. Okay, we will also jump over here and take a look. Warehousing is now on by default.
Light be with you.
So you will get some options here for your bank, which let you set up some things for restocking your bags. If you have some things here set up to sell in certain stack sizes. If you don't have enough, like if you have something to sell 5 stacks of strange dust and you only have 1 in here, then this can fill up your bags. Click shortfall here and it will give you what you're missing out of here so that you can post your auctions. You can also do stacking to bank and move things. If you set up rules for how many times you want something to expire and then stop posting, so if you have maybe, transmog or something that you want to disenchant after you post it 10 times or something, you can set those rules up, and then this will easily let you see the items that have exceeded their max expires that you set. And then any kind of mailing things. So if you set up, say if you have a character that you mail all of your quest turn-in items to, or an enchanter that you send all of your enchanting materials to, you can set up those rules and you can just click on mailing here and it'll say, okay, this character has a bunch of enchanting items in the bank. Let's move those to our bags and then head over to the mailbox and go to the group mailing and send. So those are all features we will get into another video, but for now, let's jump over and see the main part, which is the auction house. So let's pull up the /TSM and make sure that our settings copied over. So first we want to grab our sniper string. I'll go ahead and go through all of my screenshots and make sure that my settings are matched back up with where they were before. But the main things are here, the shopping and sniper. So sniper no longer has just a field here. So what it actually has done now is moved it over to your operations. So you have the default sniper string, which is Billis's string. It is now updated to use some of the new functionality using the if greater than logic, which we can get into in a later episode. But here would be, if you have your sniper settings that were custom and you want to put them back, you would just select this and paste yours in to change out the default. Or what you can also do is add a new one. Click the pencil here on the name, and we can rename it. We can put ours in here. So now, as you can see, whereas before you would only have one sniper string, so it had to be, for a lot of people, had to be pretty advanced. Now you can make different sniper strings. So if you just want to have simpler strings, make one for, say, lower value items like crafting reagents or whatever, and then another sniper string for specifics like BOE flipping or, whatever you'd like to do, one for pets. You can set up different rule sets for what percentages you'd like to go to and what thresholds you'd like to meet. For now, we'll just add in our simple one here, and then you can either apply these to groups here. So say we can apply this to battle pets here, or apply this to BOEs. Or, of course, we can go to our groups here, and we can, say, select a group and group operations, and then you have the sniper here. So same as always, you can override the parent operations and then put in the sniper operation that you want. The nice thing about that is that you can also set up a sniper operation with just a simple, say, 1 copper. And call it a no-buy sniper operation. And as previously we had done, we can go to our groups and we can find items that we don't want to show up in sniper ever. Lots of odds and ends things that people will post up for thousands of gold, and then just maybe once a month will post it for 100 gold, and sniper will pop it up because it thinks that it's 1/10 of the normal price. And if you're not paying attention or clicking too quickly, you may buy something, and while it does seem like it's a deal, you've paid 100 gold for, something that's worth a gold or 5 gold or whatever. So you can slowly build out a group of items that you don't want to buy, then apply that to them, and then they will never show up in sniper. So even if they match the thresholds of percentage of region value or whatever, whatever value you're referencing, they'll never show up there. So we can simply go through and just double check all these options, make sure our things are where we need them to be. It looks like all of our groups filled in properly. We can double check that our auctioning operations filled in properly. It looks like everything is here. Crafting operations, and you can quickly click on them and see which groups have these items on them. You can simply click here to remove them from items. You can add them to new items, check your settings and all that. But it looks like everything, for the most part, carried over. So let's go ahead and just do a quick test. We will open up the auction house here. All right, so we now have the different tabs. Instead of them being tabs on the default auction house, it's now its own thing. If you need to switch back to the default UI, click there, and then click here to get back. We now have the overview page here, which will show all of our currently posted auctions. We can, filter by durations. We can search for things here and clear it if we need to. We can hide out auctions that already have bids on them. We can quickly do cancels based on either, how long they have left. So if you have auctions that have, an hour left and you want to just repost them now, you can just select by the duration here and then cancel all those auctions and so forth. The auctioning tab here, same as always, select the groups that you want to start posting, or you can quickly do a select all or deselect all. You can search here for, different items. If you have a lot of groups and you're just trying to sort out, crafting items to post or whatever. So we have the shopping tab here, which we can search based on our groups here. We can also save and star and favorite searches that we do commonly. Can also do a search based on filtering out items here, just on keywords. And then we can come over to our favorite searches here. And then the new sniper, which again is set up a little differently, but they've also added this bid sniper, which looks at items that are about to expire on the auction house that have very low bids. So sometimes people will post items, especially higher value items like transmog and stuff like that. They may post it for, say, 10,000 gold, but the starting bid on it is only 1,000 gold. If the auction is about to run out, you can have your thing set up for 10% of the value. That item will show up, and you can place bids on them right before they end. And other than that, things still function more or less the same way as before, with just the exceptions that you need to make sure that you have operations assigned to all of these. If you want to do shopping or if you want to do sniper, you need an operation on it to tell it what pricing to use. The shopping, of course, you can still just search, for an item, but it will only show you things, in the value ranges that you're posting, unless you just do a basic search. So we will go ahead and select all here. And we can quickly see all of the items currently in our inventory and what operation is assigned to them. And then you can also see items that don't have an operation assigned to them. And if you need to assign something to that, you can quickly open it up, find that item. So if you hover over it here, we can see there in the tooltip, because we have the groups showing, we can see right there it says the group that this item is in is crafting reagents by primals motes. So we can go to that group and assign a shopping operation. You don't have to kind of search around for it. You just hover over the item and you can see what group you need to apply an operation on if that item is supposed to be sold. In this current case, I don't sell these, so I don't want one. But everything else we can look through, and we have operations on everything except for this here. So we can see this is in always on patterns. Okay, so we can open that up quickly and see why that group doesn't have anything on it. So always on patterns. We'll just go ahead and go with this one here. And then we could also see that two items were not in a group there. Okay, so we can take a look at this BOE group here. We can see that two items aren't in the group. But another thing that they've added is that the ignore item variations, which used to be named something different, but basically just means like this of the Aurora or of the Quickblade. If you don't care about the difference of these things for items that you're just selling for transmog purposes or whatever, in some cases, like with BOEs, obviously you want all of the item level differences to be acknowledged. You want the different models to be acknowledged. But in lower end gear, people are pretty much only buying this for the look, so they don't care which model it is. And so if it's a group like that, where it's just items that you're selling for transmog, you check the box and they get loaded in. But the thing is that that box is only ticked for that group and stays ticked. So the good and bad of that is that if you're on another group that has it unticked, this ungrouped items will start getting really big if you sell a lot of transmog, because none of them will technically be in a group, even though they are generically in a group. But the specific ones with the Aurora or whatever are not in a group. And same thing for pets. Depending on how you sell pets, if you sell them no matter what their level is, then, depending on how you have the group checked, things will show up as not added. Whereas for me, I separate them by level 1s and by level 25s. So when I go to a group that has that checked, these all show up because I don't have the no level, the level, see they say level 0 there, I don't have those added. So, pros and cons, things that they may address in the future. But for now, I think we have everything added to groups. Everything has an operation on it. So let's go ahead and do a post scan. The one thing I will say is once you double check all the settings, you should either reload your game once just to make sure everything's saved, locked in. At the least, do a reload. It's always good practice to, whenever you make, big changes and stuff like that, to make sure those settings get saved. So let's go ahead and run a post scan. All right, so in the beginning, when you make this changeover, of course, I would always recommend just verifying that your pricing is showing up right. These prices all look pretty consistent with where they were previously. So this one, I'm not sure where it's getting this 89 silver price from. So we'll go ahead. We can simply click on the pencils here and modify this price. Okay, so it seemed to pass over a lot of things. So I'll go ahead and continue taking a look at the pricing. Some of the things it is having issues with are auction house related. As far as getting pricing and stuff, the auction house has been having issues. But as always, just take your time, go through, make sure settings are correct, check your pricing. Now is a good time to organize and update your operations and groups. TSM 4 has made it really easy to adjust groups and modify things. You can do a lot of drag and dropping to reorganize and to regroup, so you can drag groups in and out here. You can see the name is highlighted. You can move things around. So take your time, look around. It's a good chance to familiarize yourself with TSM 4, find some of the new features. There are a lot of helpful forums. The Tradeskill Master team has their Discord server, which I'll put a link to in the description. Lots of helpful people on Twitch. I'm up on Twitch. If you have questions, feel free to ask. And otherwise, get out there and start posting and making some gold with Tradeskill Master 4. That will do it for this episode. If you've enjoyed this, remember, pressing the like button is absolutely free. Subscribe and stay tuned for more Game on End.